Welcome to my Todoist tutorial on the basics. In this week's episode, we will be talking about projects and how best to utilize this feature. And so, without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. So here you see that we have the Todoist program open here, and I'm using the Safari version for tutorial purposes. Now, in this demo account that I've created, if you've watched some of my other episodes, I have this created here. Watch Valerian 1,000 Planets. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's pretty good. Just go ahead and and I'm going to go ahead and click that off there. So I have done that. And so I have no more tasks for today. Now, this week's episode, though, we're going to be talking somewhat about tasks, but it's mostly going to be about projects, okay, and why we need projects and how best to set up projects for your productivity. Now, of course, with everybody's different. You might like to set it up maybe a little bit different than I do, and that's fine. Whatever works for you is probably the best way to do it. It's great to see how other people do stuff in order to, I don't know if I should say copy it, but maybe copy it. But anyways, just to best utilize it for your own productivity. So if you see here, I have set up a projects here. Well, I really didn't set it up. Actually, these projects here are by default. The only new one in this section here, if you watch some of my other videos, you will see is hobbies right here. Now, with your projects here, the whole idea behind projects is they're really just folders to keep your what projects you're kind of working on. And projects is sort of pretty much a loose term here in this area, because, for instance, I have a project called shopping and errands in my other Todoist account. It's not really a project, but that is where I typically drag everything out of the inbox to that has to do with shopping into that area. So is it a project? Maybe, but it's not really a project that has an end date. So that should be a something for you to write down there. It doesn't really have an end date. Now, most projects that you might be working on might actually have end dates, and that's fine as well. Now, in this tutorial here, where I'm showing you about the projects folders here, and you got of course, here's your project tab, and you got labels tab, and you got a filters tab, and we'll go on those two tabs later. But in the projects tab, when you have the personal and you have shopping, work, errands, and movies to watch, that's what typically is defaulted when you start up Todoist. But you can always add a project here by just clicking on Add Project and then typing in what your new project is. So let's say, for instance, you want to create a project and call it, let's see, what should we call it? Maybe you want to call it goals. So you go ahead and you type in goals. Now, once you type in a project, you can change the color to whatever it is you want to color. So therefore, it's different than the others that you've created. And then all you have to do is hit add. Now, before you hit add, you can also indent it or de-indent it, if that's a word. Anyways, so you can indent it, and indenting is just basically what I did up here to hobbies. As I said, well, I want to create a project called hobbies, and I created this project under the personal project file that I have there. So you can create sub-projects or child projects underneath the parent project. Maybe you're trying to, personal is like, the main category, but you want to even be more specific in your personal projects and what they entail. Okay, so once I hit add here, then it adds that project to my long list of projects here. Now, of course, you can also, if you look over here, you can grab on this little thing here. You see how my cursor changed, and you can drag that goal anywhere in here. So maybe you want to drag it up to here. Maybe you like it better there. Or maybe you want that goals in your personal, so you drag it as a child task or a child project. You can do however it is you want to do it, and that's the cool thing about Todoist. Now, you see here I also have archive projects. If you ever have to archive a project because you are finished with that project, let's say you have a project that has a specific end date in mind. Well, once you've completed that project, why do you want to keep it in all your other projects? It just clutters up your interface. So the best thing to do is always click on the little 3 dots here. I'm not really sure what it's called, but 3 dots, it works. So you click on that, and here you can go ahead and archive that project because you're done with it. You don't need to see it no more, but you don't necessarily want to lose the information. Now, you could always delete a project if you accidentally created one and you don't have any tasks associated with it. You could always delete it, but my suggestion is always archive it unless it was a mistake when you created it. This just helps you be able to pull archived projects that were archived in the past if you need to reference something for today that concerned that project in the past, if that made any sense. But anyways, sorry it's a little late here and I'm just babbling. But so while we go with this, we'll just go ahead and click on archive, and now you see that archive of that goal is gone. And if I clicked on archive projects down here, you see goals is right here. Okay. Now, another cool thing that you can do with your projects here is you can also add a project below a parent project. So let's say I wanted to add a project below this. I could just click on this and then type in, I don't know, soccer practice. Okay, so maybe I did this, you know. Now, here's another little interesting tidbit. If you notice here, you see my hobbies has a different color than my personal, right? I always suggest if you're going to have a child project underneath a parent project, you should color them the same. So when I created this hobbies on a future or past episodes, when I created this hobbies, I just created it with the add project, and I didn't bother clicking on the little dot in order to pick the color. But one little cool tidbit that you just saw happen here is if you know that that project that you're going to create is going to be in another project, you know, a child project and a parent project, if you know this, you might as well go ahead and click on the parent project and hit add project below, because when you do that, it automatically colors that child project the same color as your parent project. Okay. Now, also some other things you can do. You can also add project above, which just adds a project above it. Obviously, self-explanatory. You can also edit your project, which all that does is basically you're just editing the name. It's not really editing a project, but I digress. You can also share this project with others, email tasks to this project. You can put this project in your calendar feed. So if you have Google Calendar or what have you, you can just make that specific project a calendar feed. You know, like I said before, you have archive and delete project. Okay. So that is projects in a nutshell. In projects, though, you in each individual project you can add tasks, so they show up there, and you'll have like a little number 1 or 2 or 3 or however many tasks you've created for that, and each one of these. Now, my suggestion, and I'm going to make a suggestion in future episodes, is to structure this how you work. Some people, you know, say, no, you got to do it a certain way. You gotta have a personal folder. You got to have a jobs folder. You got to have this or that folder. Not necessarily true. You can actually just create it the way that works best for you, because after all, if you make it under someone else's system that you don't quite comprehend, the likelihood of you actually utilizing that process is slim to none. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. And I have no idea why I'm stuck on that term, without further ado. Just kind of just rolls off the tongue sometimes. But anyways, with this week's episode, I am going to sign off, and I hope you have a very productive week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Also, like my channel and subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm doing. And I'll see you in the next episode.